we need to repair the polygon because it has got a rip. Yo, yo.
Yo, are you down at the allotment still?
Yeah. That was Kian.
Hello.
We'll definitely get around to doing other stuff next week, but it's good that we... Welcome everyone to Alfie's Agriculture. We are on episode 9 of season 2, and today we've got a lot to do at the allotment. Firstly, we need to repair the polygon because it has got a rip. So we've recently had a storm in England, and where I am we got about 70-mile-an-hour winds, and unfortunately the polygon just couldn't make it. On one of the roof corners there was a little bit of a too sharp edge that the plastic was resting on, and it's caused about a 3-inch rip. We're going to repair that, and also we're going to upgrade the polygon with some extra support to avoid that happening again in the future. And then we're also going to do some work elsewhere on the allotment as well today, just to get it even more ready for the spring. But before we get on with that, if I could please ask, if you enjoy these videos, please leave a like, a comment and subscribe. That would greatly help. We're on the road to 2,000 subscribers now, and I'd really like for us to hit that before we get planting this season. But without further ado, let's get started. I'm just going to go and grab some tools and I'll walk you through what we're going to do for the polygon. So it's in this top right corner just here that we got the rip. So I've also just put some bubble wrap underneath both corners of the roof just to like soften the corners so they're less sharp, to avoid any more rips happening. And then also the bricks that are behind these planks on the floor that were holding it down, they didn't do a good enough job when the winds were blowing against the wall, because when I got here yesterday to check on it, the wall was just flinging around in the wind, not being held down by the bricks. So what I'm going to do is use these 2 long planks, one on the inside against the 2 beams and then one on the outside screwed to that previous plank that I've just put in, to then hold down the sheet. So I'm going to have to cut it to length, screw it in on the inside, and then screw one in on the outside as well. So I'm going to get on with that. And that one's perfectly square with that end. Then we just need to mark it here against this end. There we go. Marked the cut. Okay, so I've just placed the beam in, and then I'm going to screw it to this post and to that post just there, and then I can put one on the outside going against this beam just here, so then it keeps this whole wall nice and tensioned. I'm going to have to mount it above the ground because of the metal spikes that are in the ground. These screws can't go through metal, and I don't have a metal drill bit on me, so I won't be able to get these screws through that part. I'm just going to have to screw into the wood above the brackets, but it should be okay. We'll see. Okay, so I've done one screw on this end, and I'm going to do one screw on the other end, and I'll come back and do another screw on each. So that cross beam is now installed, and then we're going to put one on the outside. So we're going to pull down this first, this sidewall, to make it nice and tight, and then we'll screw the other one against this board. So then there is none of this basically where the wall can just fly around, because it's that movement that will cause rips basically. Alright, so now we are going to hold up the wood against the inside piece of wood. I'm just going to have it supported. Since I don't have a second person with me, I'm just going to use some bricks to hold it up. That's going against that like that. And obviously I'm going to make it nice and taut and, you know, pull it down tight before I screw it in. But that is basically the gist of what it's going to look like. And then I'll also put some pieces of wood along these posts on this side as well, just to make it all nice and taut, not only up and down but side to side as well. So it would be a lot easier with 2 people to hold it nice and tight whilst I screw it in, but I'm just going to have to make do with what I've got and give it a go. Thank God it isn't windy, because that would be a nightmare. I'm just going to put all the screws in their places preemptively before I screw them into the piece of wood inside of the polyhouse, just so they're all ready to go. I just screw them all tight. There we go, that board is done, and that is already looking tauter than it was. We're still going to do some on the side, and we might even do one on the top here, and that'll keep this whole wall nice and tensioned. to avoid any rips in the future. Now we're going to install this side piece. Kian knows all about side pieces. Eleanor, why don't you ask Kian about his side pieces? Oh, funny. Kian's probably just said to Eleanor, I don't know what he's talking about. He's just joking. And Eleanor was like, yeah, right. Kian's in the doghouse. It's official. Yo, yo.
Yo, are you down at the allotment still?
Yeah.
Alright, sweet, cheers. Cheers, geezer.
See you soon.
See you soon, bye-bye.
That was Kian. So Kian has just stopped by. He's going to come and say hello. Hello. And yeah, as mentioned, he's got this clear tape that is used for repairing like polytunnels. So he's just generously lent me some so I could patch that hole. I'm just going to patch up this hole that is torn in here over the weekend. It is dry now since we've been here for a few hours, and the sun has dried it all out. Just need to get my scissors so I can actually cut the tape, because this is not rippable stuff. Okay, so we've now attached that piece of wood, and we've also patched up the hole with the repair tape. We're just going to attach this piece of wood over on this side now. So I'm just going to put some screws into the wood, ready to screw in. I'm going to need to get another little small piece of wood and put it down there as well, so it's not as long as the other one. That is definitely a lot better than it was. Way better. So that is a lot better than it was. Probably get a piece along here as well, but it is definitely way more. I mean, if that's being pushed on, it's taking, you know, it's taking tension from all sides, so it's dispersing the weight and the force, rather than just being on like one corner, for example, where it's going to rip. It's now good, hopefully. We'll see. Okay, I think I'm actually the beams that I've done on the inside against the potting shed, I think I'm actually going to remove them and then try and retension the whole thing, just so this side next to the door isn't so loose. So we'll give that a go. It will definitely help a lot if we can do that. But this side is looking great. Definitely a lot better than it was. And we should do a piece along the top, really. So let's do that. Lovely. This side's done. Finally. That is not bad. I'm happy with that. It's held pretty taut, pretty tight. Tweet. Okay, so now that we've done this wall, you basically get the gist of what I'm doing. I'm just pulling it nice and tight, and then putting the beams across the batons, I guess you could call them. So I'm going to do the same thing on the back side of the polyhouse, and I'm not going to film that whole thing because you get the deal. It's kind of boring just watching the same thing over and over on each side. But I mean, when did I get here? Like 10:30 maybe? It's now 1 PM, so 2.5 hours I've been here. It would definitely be a lot faster with two people, you know, having someone to hold it tight whilst I screw it in. But yeah, it definitely does slow it down doing it alone. So yeah, I'm just going to put the camera down and get on with the backside, and then I'll just update you once that's done. Okay, so it's been about 2 hours since I spoke to you last, and I've finished the back wall. So basically what I've done is I've added another beam across the bottom like we did for the outside wall, and that has just added some support for this little extra post I've added, which is also attached to the potting shed wall. And then I've also added some batons on the outside to hold it all nice and taut, because if you listen, that is a lot more tensioned than that. So that is good. Those two walls are done. Then we're going to be doing this wall next. Probably going to take another 2 hours. We'll see. So it's been about 1 more hour. I picked up the pace a little bit. I've got into the groove of it all, and I've put a beam across this wall that's adjacent or touching the potting shed, and it's just this beam that is screwed into the posts of the potting shed, just to hold this wall, or this kind of like angled roof part here, and make it nice and tight so all the water just flows straight down off of it and doesn't drip through. Because if it does pool, it will drip through. I'm not really sure why. I would have thought that this stuff is waterproof, but it's not. There we go. So yeah, that's all nice. This part isn't taut, by the way, because it doesn't need to be. It's not, you know, exposed to the wind, so it doesn't need to be at all. But every other wall that is exposed to the wind, including the little tiny sub wall that's next to the door, is taut. That's the word of the week, isn't it? Taut. So if I just show you the front door area as well, I did take off these batons that are by the door, and I readjusted the door and put it back up. So this area here, although it isn't flat, it is all tight as well. So, you know, it doesn't look great, but it will work a lot better than it did. And we've got a lot more space in there as well now, just because everything is, you know, tied back, or not tied back, but, you know, held back into its place. I'm glad I did this. I mean, it took me about 6 hours, but I'm glad I spent the time on doing it, because this will be a lot better. It will last a lot longer, and it will keep a lot more heat in, I think. I do still need to bury the bottom of each wall under the soil, just so it's completely like airtight when it's sealed up, but I'm doing that another time because I need to go to the gym. Well, no, I don't actually need to go to the gym. This has been my gym all day. So if I just give you an outside tour of what it looks like. Got that front area there, and then this side wall with all the batons on it, holding it all nice and tight. And then we've got the back wall here, and I've actually attached this beam again because it was hanging, so I've actually screwed it in to the beam that was there before. And then we've also taken down this post here, and now there's bricks here, so it's just like extended the patio area sort of thing. And this is a different view of this area behind the polytunnel. There we go. And here's a top view. Why not? But yeah, that is it for today's video. I know we said earlier that we were going to do some more other than just the polytunnel, but it took a lot longer than expected. So we're going to leave it there for today. We'll definitely get around to doing other stuff next week, but it's good that we got around to doing this, because then we can starting off some seedlings in here whilst it's still a little bit colder, and it's too cold for them outside. I have been watching the temperature, and it has steadily dropped all day because obviously the door's been open, but it was around 12 degrees, which is, I think, maybe 8 degrees warmer than what it is actually outside, so it's definitely good. It's definitely working, especially when the sun was on it earlier. That's when it gets the golden hours of the temperature. But yeah, I'm just going to clean up and head out, which you guys don't want to watch, so I won't include all that. But as always, if you do want to support the channel, you can always head to the Amazon wishlist in the description and get some goodies for the allotment if you do wish so. But other than that, I'll see you in the next video. Adios and deuces.